All right, I'm back. Today we're gonna do a oil change and filter change for a 2022 Toyota Sienna and any other Toyota that's close to this year. It's basically the same. The filter that we're gonna use is gonna be the Mobile 1, which is the M1103. And the oil is going to be the 0W16. And there goes both the filter and the oil. Here I'm gonna start taking off some of these. As you can see, I'm gonna go around and take them all off. So there it goes. It was 4 bolts going around this piece right here. And now we're gonna get the socket and remove right here the drain plug to the engine oil. And then also right here, as you can see, is where the filter is at. I'm gonna go ahead and get this here now, and what I use for here, which is like a giant type of socket. But there's also the type that squeezes around that I'll show you in a second. So you could use one of these that as you turn it, it'll squeeze and get tighter, and they kind of self-adjust. There's different sizes depending on your size of filter. Or you could use one of these, which I have like about 5 or 6 for all the different filters that I personally change. And the way it works is you get the filter that the auto parts that you're gonna use, and you see which one it fits, which in this case is this one right here. And what I like about this that is easier is that I could just put the actual ratchet there, like if it was a regular socket, and it's a lot easier to take off and on using the ratchet instead of this. But there's very few times that I've had to, in certain applications, use that because there's no space for the back end of the ratchet connected to this and some other application. But for this car, the ratchet works perfect. So we're gonna use that, and then here, we're gonna go and remove also that socket. So now when I was gonna remove and I said socket in the previous part, but the bolt to drain, I realized that I lifted up the driver's side, and I'd rather lift up the passenger side. The reason for it is because it gets more oil out, since that plug that I'm going to be removing, it's more to this side, so the car tilts towards the driver's side. And almost all the oil will come out, versus the other way, it's a little bit puddling on the side of the pan and not going out where the plug is, the bolt. So I'm going to go ahead and move the car forward and lift up this side. So unless you're lifting up both, I prefer to lift up this one only. So now we're gonna go ahead and remove this bolt here. And it is gonna be a 14 millimeter. Let's go, it's loose right there. Oops, sorry, I'm moving the camera here. Holding it with my hand, I'm under the car. Put the pan right there. And let's get this. Get that bolt out of the way, drain that oil. As soon as that oil drains completely, we're gonna go ahead and put this plug back on and then get the filter out here. So see what I mean, why I want it to be tilted down towards the driver's side, because the bolt is on this side, and if you do it the other way, some oil will kind of puddle over there, so this gets more out. At this point, I've removed also the filter with that filter socket. Now I'm gonna go ahead and put the bolt back in, the plug for the oil and the new filter in. But one thing that I'll show you is, before putting the new filter in, something that I always do is get a little bit of oil and put it around this here, so when you tighten it, it's not like binding into where it attaches to. So some people actually also fill up these filters, and I don't believe it's necessary. That oil is going to go through there instantly, before any part is gonna have any friction. Plus, there's always some oil inside through the whole engine in there. And especially sometimes to put these sideways and you'll be dripping it out. Like in this particular case, it's not always where filters are gonna go like that. This filter will go sideways, so you really can't fill it up. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that back and then I'll continue on. Okay, so all the cover's back on. Obviously I put the bolt back on, the drain plug, and also put the filter back on. Now I'm going to add oil. Now as far as how much to tighten, some people don't know the filter. Basically, the way I do it, tighten it by hand as much as I can, and then I give it about a half a turn with the ratchet. Obviously, for someone that doesn't have a lot of strength in their hand, then maybe you should be as hard as they can with the hand and then a full turn with the ratchet, because the thing is that those filters do not go extremely tight, but obviously you don't want it to fall off either. With the plug, it's hand tightened, and there's actually specs as far as how much to torque it, but I just hand tighten it and hand tighten it with a manual ratchet to where I feel that it's tight without trying to rip it apart. But there's actual torque settings you can look up, Google it, but I'm sure almost nobody does that. Everybody just hands tighten them, you know, with a ratchet. And on the filter, when I say hand tighten before doing the ratchet, I mean it by actual hand. You tighten as much as you can, and then I give it a half a turn with the ratchet attached to that socket that I have for the filter. Now everybody always puts, or most people do, oil like this. What happens when you do it like that, there's air that has to come out to take up the void of the oil, and it starts doing that blood, 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 and splashing. So the way you're supposed to pour oil is actually the opposite way. So I'll start, for example, sideways and turn it like this. You want it like this, you'd never get air. It's just constant flow. You never have that I don't even know what word to use, but the fact that it's just going blah blah all over the place and throwing oil and splashing it like it is throwing up. Now what I do with this car, obviously you look up for every car the specs, how much oil. This one, and I do it for every car. I never put exactly what it needs. I stop a little bit before, just because you never know how much stayed in the engine. And then I just start measuring when I'm like about a quart away from what the manufacturer says. In this case, you know, I've put already about 4 quarts in it. So I'll go ahead and start checking till I see that it's right at the mark. Now, what a lot of people don't know when measuring oil, they think that when you don't see any oil, and this is something very important everybody needs to pay attention to, because you'd be surprised how many people I talk to that have no clue about this. When you see no oil here, it does not mean that it's empty at all. And you can look this up. All it means is that it's missing at least a quart and change, because this does not measure all the way down to like 0 or to 1 quart. What this does is that you see that little dot right here, and then that other little dot right here. Okay, full is when it's right here. That's what full is. When you see it at that dot, it means it's missing a quart. It doesn't mean that it's empty. It's not like it's here is from 0 to full. This is a whole quart. So that is not the measurement of empty. So the same way, the fact that you don't see anything, it doesn't mean that it's empty. It just means that it's missing more than a quart and some. Now, obviously, if you don't see anything, yes, it could be empty completely, but it could also have 1 quart, it could also have 2 quarts, because you don't know past this point how much is left. And that's not without saying that if you don't see any oil, you need to add oil, because obviously you are missing more than a quart of oil, and it shouldn't be like that. A car, you know, maybe within a half a quart or a quart, nothing crazy is going to happen to it, but definitely don't want it to run with 1 quart or 0 quarts, or you're going to, your engine's going to overheat. There's too much friction, and then it'll seize up. So anyway, so if you were to see it, for example, between this dot and this dot, somewhere in the middle, that means you're missing a half a quart. If you see it here, it means you're missing 3/4 of a quart. And over here, you're missing 1/4 only. And then if it's to this line, it's full. Simple. But believe it or not, a lot of people don't know that, and they think that no measurement is there, that it's completely empty, and they'll go and I'll go back and say why that's important. They'll go back and add, like, let's say the car asks for 4 quarts, they'll just straight up, because they don't see anything here at all, they'll add 4 quarts to the car thinking it was empty. And no, you got to go 1 quart at a time, because again, it could have just been missing a quart and change. And if you put 4 quarts, then you're gonna have to remove oil. So when you don't see anything here, you add a quart, check. You still see nothing, add a quart and check until you start seeing. And then once you're here, now you know, again, you're missing a quart of oil when you're at that bottom dot. And sometimes it's a line and not a dot. Let's see where we're by. We are right where we're missing half a quart of oil. You see that? And we'll verify again. Now I will say one thing. I just wanted to have enough. See, again, it's like half. But I am not gonna go based off of this measurement right now. I just put enough so I could start the car, because I have the car tilted. And that is gonna throw off somewhat where my measurement is. But now that I know I at least have, it's pretty full. Right? It may be off by 1/4 of a quart or something, or whatever that measurement is. It's enough for me to start the car and get it off the ramp that I have. So I'll be right back. Okay, so now that I've lowered the car and it's even, I'm gonna check and see how much oil it actually needs, because it could have been off by a little bit. You see, it's actually it was showing like missing half only, but it's actually now showing that it's missing almost a full quart. If you see, it kind of stops right there at the bottom dot. So let's add some more. And the amount of oil Sienna takes, according to the manufacturer, is about 4.5 quarts. But obviously that's give or take a little bit because of how much oil could have stayed inside the engine. So always, if you were to follow my advices, put less and then check little by little like this till you get to the exact point. You don't want to overfill it. It's not good to have too much oil either. Okay, here we are. About a half a quart missing. But let me check again, because sometimes oil stays inside the sidewall of that tubing and distorts the measurement until it settles down. But now it is missing a half a quart. So it is going to take pretty much exactly that 4.5 or 4.6 quart to be more exact what I read online. And this is 5 quart, so should have a little bit less than half a quart left in there. And if everything is perfecto. Let's see where we're at. And see the reflection where it's thick, because it's always going to show oil even up to here, but it's where it's thick, which stops. Shows that it's missing like a quart of oil. Now at this point I could tilt it this way because so little oil here that it won't do that bubbling effect where I showed earlier to do it upside down, because it's already very low on oil, so it won't do that. But when it's full, you got to do it the other way. You start a little bit sideways and turn it what you would think is upside down. It's missing like 1/8 of a quart. If you notice before the dot in here, right here, the little spot. See, let's see, we're almost there. Very little. See, I'm going very little at a time. Just a little drop more, and that's it. I don't even gotta check it again because I'm right there. Like, I could leave it right there like that and it'll be perfect. But just to show you, it should be right on the dot. Right there, touching the dot. Perfect. And that will be it for a Toyota Sienna. This is a 2022 oil change filter and adding oil. And I'll catch you on the next one.